Good morning. I hope everyone's doing great today. This is Patrick Lee, your host. It's time for Midweek Motivation Live. We're going to be talking about some life expectations and realities in your life today. The topic is our life about expectation versus reality, or is it about expectations and realities? Let's talk about the and part of that today here on Midweek Motivation Live. We will be right back after this. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We're back. I hope everyone is doing well today. I want to talk to you about a topic that a lot of people have been talking to me about lately, different things in life. Maybe life hasn't gone the way that they intended. Maybe they've ended up someplace that they never intended to be. And that's where they find themselves today. But we talk to you about motivating you to success in every area of your life here on Midweek Motivation Live. And I want to talk to you today about your expectations and realities. Can we have both? People already tuning into the show today. As soon as we went live, we saw people already watching. I love that when we have people already waiting for the show. Good morning, Sal. People tuning in live locally and around the world by way of the internet. We love that. Watching the downloads on Midweek Motivation Live on Buzzsprout, my management channel for the podcast, and it's receiving more and more downloads all the time. There's going to be some new things coming up through that as well. Through the podcast channel, it's broadcast out to every major podcast network, wherever you listen to your podcast. We are there: Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, man, you name it, just about. We are there with Midweek Motivation Live. But today, expectations and realities. Can we have both? Many of us started off in life as a young person, probably with a lot of hopes and dreams as a child. Many of you did. I know I did. When I was a young kid, I started out on the playground with my local friends, and we would play cowboys and Indians, and we would play Army and war, and we were always fighting against the commies or somebody. You know what I mean? We're fighting against somebody, trying to move forward with freedom and patriotism and the American way. And then I was asked as a young boy, I remember in the first grade, they asked everyone to draw a picture of what you wanted to be when you grew up. I know many of you have done that, probably all of you. Hello, Marlene. Good to see you watching the show as well. And Pete, the regulars love that. Thank you. Pete just sent me a great message yesterday. Really touched my heart. That was really nice. Thank you, Pete. So that happens to me from time to time. I love that. It means we're in relationship and we're making a difference, right? But I remember I drew a crayon picture of a fireman. My expectation in the first grade was to grow up and be a fireman. And I probably avoided that a little bit growing up, lost touch with that. And believe it or not, that first grade expectation was rekindled when the movie Backdraft came out. I'm watching Backdraft, and you remember the actors. It's probably one of the bald ones, Kurt Russell, maybe Sam Elliott, maybe the other guy, Scott Glenn, some of these guys in Backdraft. Great movie, and I found myself in the movie theater becoming inspired, drawn, and emotional by the movie Backdraft. Why? Because it brought me back to an expectation or a dream I had as a young boy. Now, my reality is very different today than what it was when I was in the first grade at 5 years old, and I'm sure yours are as well. We had expectations of what we were going to be. The young girls in the 60s, right? The 60s, many of those young girls dreamed of being a housewife. They wanted to be maybe in business, maybe a doctor or a nurse. Times were different then. And as we have grown and experienced greater things in life, we realize that women can be anything they want, just like men. And we need to tell our young children that, our boys and our girls. Number one, you are a boy and you are a girl, and you can be anything in life you want when you grow up. And it should be salted with or seasoned with, as long as that aligns with societal, not norms or pressures, but along with things that are correct, true, and proper, right? We shouldn't tell our children you can grow up to be a tree or a dog or a cat. Those things are just not true. Anything that doesn't align up with natural creation. But they can be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, an engineer, an astronaut. So we had these expectations. Hello, Susan. Good to see you watching as well. Good morning. So we had these expectations, and as we grew up, we started hitting the stark reality that maybe those expectations are not where we are today. And that's what I want to talk to you about today: expectations and realities. Many people have said, I've heard it said, and I may have even said this myself in the past: reality is where expectations go to die, right? And it's kind of a stark thought that we really don't like. Um, because we have these hopes and dreams, these goals, these expectations of how life is going to be when we get older. And as we do get older, we have teachers, coaches, mentors, parents that smack us on the side of the head and say, life is hard, get a helmet. This is reality now. So something happens in our life that causes our dreams and goals to go askew, to go awry, to not go down the same path that we intended or expected to go down, right? And that's happened to you. It's happened to me many a time. It's a financial difficulty. Someone leaves your life. It can be either through divorce or death. Maybe it's a parent, a friend, a sibling. Someone leaves your life, and all of a sudden, when those life circumstances change, your direction changes along with that. You have to step back, like that little battery powered car that reaches the edge of the table or hits the wall. It has to back up and then find a new direction. And many of you, that's what you're experiencing right now. And you would say, Patrick, I just don't think what you're saying is fair. I'm simply a product of what I was handed. I'm playing the cards that life dealt me. I don't know that reality will ever allow me to experience my expectations. And I just don't believe that's true. Now, your mindset will tell you that it is true, and your mindset will dictate your future. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, his soul, so is he. So your words and your thoughts will turn off your expectations, and they will convince you that your reality right now, without your expectations, is simply where you are and how it's always going to be. But if you change that and you start speaking back in line with the things you expected in life, will that bring you back towards your goal? Will it bring you back in line towards moving into the direction of some of those expectations in life? You may say, well, I had a lot of expectations. I wanted to do this or that. I wanted to start a business. I wanted to start a family. Unfortunately, that couldn't happen. I would ask you a couple of these things to go back and gauge maybe some of your expectations. Were all of my expectations real? Were they, were my expectations as a child that I wanted to grow up to be a wolf? I just don't know that that's reality, right? Were they real? I was reminiscing with my wife the other day some favorite memories of our children growing up. And one of mine was my younger daughter in the back seat of our car going to a fast food drive through to get some French fries one evening. We're just going to stop and get the kids French fries. All y'all know, everyone's kids love French fries, right? So my daughter is about 4, maybe 3 or 4. And she rolls down the back window, and I had pointed out, I was like, oh, look, girls, it's a full moon tonight. And my daughter sticks her face up to the window and starts howling at the moon like a wolf. And it was the most adorable thing. at 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old, right? It was an adorable little girl howling at the moon like she's a wolf. And we all thought it was cute. The girl at the drive up window thought it was cute. But many of you realize now my daughter is 27 years old. She works for me here at the Patrick Lee Group. She has her degree in applied sciences and marketing and art, and she does my online social media. A lot of that, she takes the show, uploads it to Buzzsprout, gets it migrated out to all the other platforms for you every week, does a lot of our print marketing, ad marketing on social media. She's not a wolf. She never intended to be a wolf. She might have thought she was going to be a wolf as a young little girl, but she grew up and now her expectations may not be her reality, but they're probably a whole lot better than if she expected to be a dog or a wolf, correct? Can we agree? Are all of my expectations real? And I know that may be a silly analogy, but that's many of the things that we expected in our life as a young child were simply that. They were not a real expectation, or they're something that you may have hoped for, but many of you know that a goal without a plan is just a wish. You can hope for something, but if you don't put a plan in place to achieve that, many times that will never become your reality. And some of those things that we hoped for or planned for or thought about were really not something that life would say was a worthy goal. So we want to make sure that the expectations we had were of things that were worthy. I think that my biggest goal in life is doing something that's worthy. If someone else is blessed or helped, or can be benefited from the things that I do in life, that would be considered worthy. And I would like to think that my expectations, and yours as well, are to do something worthy in our life, something worthy of not applause, but of celebration, of benefit to other people. So if we can go back and say my expectations, maybe some of them I need to let go, and that's going to be our next topic. But are the expectations I had in my life worthy? Are they something that would be the logical progression of a worthwhile goal, right? Everything is not supposed to stay in your life or in your storage area. What does that mean? There are some things in reality in life that we had some expectations. We had expectations upon ourselves, on our family, and on other people, and they leave our life. And my statement to you on that was everything is not supposed to stay in your life. Many of the things that some of us thought were a worthy expectation might have been something we could dabble in, but was never something we were going to be blessed enough or acquire the skill enough to excel in. And that includes relationships with some people, it includes business endeavors, and some of the expectations that we had. So you say, Patrick, you're going off course. The show says expectations and realities. And yes, it does. The reality behind that is everything and everyone is not supposed to stay in your life, even though maybe we expected that they would. Sometimes people come into your life for a season. Some people come in for a reason. Some people come in for a lifetime. And we need to let the expectation match the definition of that person, place, or thing. Why were they in my life? Were they an employee? Were they a lover? Were they a spouse? I believe in my heart spouses are there for a lifetime. We make that vow to love them till death do us part. But unfortunately, that is not always reality, right? My expectation and my reality is that I will remain married to my wife until death do us part, or the Lord takes us home to be with him in heaven together, holding hands in our sleep. That is my expectation, and I believe that will be my reality. But there are people that do come into our lives. We've had relationships with other people, friends that come and go, employees that come and leave us unexpectedly. And it sort of blindsides us. And we're like, why is my now not going along with the way I thought that it would. I'm not enjoying this. I'm not having this. I'm not down for that. You know what I mean? And we don't understand. But when we go back to that mindset of were my expectations a reality? Can I have them both at the same time? Everyone that I want to stay in my life will stay in my life forever. Is that really a logical expectation? Of course not. Is it hard for us to admit sometimes? Of course it is. We would like to think that we are lovable, we're dynamic, we're friendly, everyone loves us, and everyone wants to be in our lives forever. We practice attraction, and everyone is attracted to us. Now, while I teach that as well, that we are to be we are blessed to be a blessing, that when we're doing the right things, we're getting in the right relationships, that's when growth happens and synergy, and people link arms and we walk down the road together, right? But unfortunately, everyone in your life, in your sphere of influence, will not be walking the same journey you are. Their expectation becomes their reality based on how they walk out their life. And that reality for them is going to be different than it is for you. And we do not have control over the minds and the will of others unless we are exerting that in a not so good way. If you are using the power of manipulation, we've talked about that before, to keep people in your life or to keep things in your life that are no longer supposed to be there, that's a wrong mindset. We need to get away from that. Manipulation is a spirit of witchcraft, and none of us should be dabbling or experiencing that. There are also other things that are not supposed to stay in your life, like clutter. How many of you have storage buildings that are full? I have some. So am I learning as I talk to you today? Of course I am. Have I learned over the years that clutter is a battery drainer to me? Absolutely. Have I gotten better at it? You bet. I cleaned out the backyard. I did some garage straightening up this last weekend. Set some things out by the dumpster that disappeared within minutes. I set some things out by the dumpster that are still there and hopefully will disappear within the next day or two. But there are many times we just need to make a trip to the dump. If we're holding on to things that we are never meant to hold on to forever, if we are a now person, if we are living in the moment now, and we're gathering experiences, the things we should be collecting are our realities, the reality of who we are, where we are, the people that we're with, the memories and the experiences. Those are the things we should be collecting. Probably not, lunch tickets from middle school or a scrapbook full of you know scraps of fabric from your nana's Afghan. It could be anything. In storage, you know what you have in storage. Some of you just collect wine bottles from every bottle of wine you've ever drank, or you collect other things. Now, having a collection that has some value that gives you joy, that's different. But if we just have storage buildings full of things that don't matter anymore, wouldn't it be better to let those things go and have a mental storage full of memories? Or an SD card full of photos, or a flash drive full of videos, memories, going on and making memories of your relationships with the people, and chronicling your expectations as they happen. If you're living in the moment, are you recognizing when you've achieved an expectation? That's where the progression of this show goes. Have we learned to recognize when we have achieved something that we expected? I wanted to be a fireman when I grew up, but I didn't. But as I started going down this personal space of improvement, many of the things I expected, I have achieved. When I got into real estate, I have achieved a level of success to where I don't need a side hustle. The first couple of months I got into real estate, I kept my day job for a few months and said, all of the money I make on that job, I'm going to put in the bank while I'm learning my craft. It's a totally new career. Logically, you would become an apprentice for a short amount of time and then go out on your own. After about 4 or 5 months into my real estate journey, 10 years ago, my wife came to me and said, your side hustle, your day job is infringing upon your ability to go out and achieve your dreams and expectations in real estate, and I needed to let those go. And many of you have things going on in your life right now that you need to let go. I made a comment on someone's post last night in a real estate group because so many people had come in commenting about all of the side hustles. And this realtor, a licensed realtor, said, hey, what's a good side hustle out there so I can pay my bills? Business is slow. And I just commented many of the things that I share with you on the show. And I said the best side hustle you could have right now is investing in yourself. Because when you invest in yourself and grow yourself, apply 100% of the things that you know and learn into your career, your hustle, you don't need a side hustle. Business will come when you're investing in yourself, growing yourself, and investing in your relationships. If you start taking all of your energies or your focus and you put that into something else just to pay the bills, broken focus is going to be the main thing that causes you to not achieve your expectations in your main thing. So are you living in the moment and recognizing when you've achieved an expectation? I didn't expect to be here. I'm over here and I expected to be over here. How do I get back over there? In the moment right now, I need to make conscious decisions in my life to move back in the direction of my expectation, and my life will start to go that way. I need to get my speech right, my thought right, the things I bring into my brain that affect my thought processes and get into my spirit, my soul, man, and tell me I'm moving in the direction I expected to go. Then my expectation can become my reality because I'm working into my reality. I hope you're getting this today. I'm getting it, and it's affecting me because the best way for us to learn something is to teach you as well. And if we can start getting our thought processes, our brain matter, the things that we consume into our body, into our mind, if we can get those back in alignment with our expectation will become our reality. Expectations and realities. Can you have both? I absolutely believe so. Celebrating victories and achievements can make your reality bigger. Learn to recognize when some of the things that you have expected happen. We have goals on our team. In the real estate world, your main goals in the beginning are to start getting buyers under contract. We call it pieces of business, right? You get a buyer under contract on a home. You get a listing, your first listing. And listings in the real estate world, we say you have to list to last. Because if you have something to sell, you will always find a buyer for that if the price matches the market. If you have buyers, the buyer may not always find the ideal home for them. So you have more success in real estate if you list homes and have things to sell potentially than you do if you only work with buyers trying to find them the ideal home. We turn around and tell our buyer clients, while we're looking for your next home, if we find a home that has about 80% of the items on your checklist of items in your dream home, that's probably the house for you, because the perfect home for you doesn't exist except for in your mind. And if you go to a builder to have them build your perfect home, it's going to cost you twice as much. And then the builder's influence is going to cause it to not be 100% exactly what you wanted once it's done. So if you're looking to buy a used home, buy a home that has about 80% of what you want. If it's not your dream home, while you're building equity in that home, we can search down the road for a home that's even closer or has even more of what you want. Home ownership is always for you. So when we get that person under contract with the buyer, we celebrate that in the office. When we get a listing, we put it up on the whiteboard. We celebrate that. When an agent has their first closing, we celebrate that with them. When we have capped, meaning we've paid the entire amount for the year we're going to pay into our brokerage, we say cap faster. So each year, as we go through our transactions, we want to achieve capping faster so we get to keep 100% of our commissions for the remainder of the calendar year. And when we cap it, some brokerages, they would give you a cap and say, you capped, yay. And some places we would get a cake and have a party and light candles, and do that. And one of this last year, one of my agents capped. We bought her a North Face jacket, and it was one of those things that was just, it's a wonderful way to celebrate. So you realize that your expectations do become your realities, and you can live in both at the same time. I hope this is helping y'all today. It's helping me, and I hope it's helping you too. So learn to live in the moment and recognize when you have achieved some of your expectations, and you will find that you truly can live your expectations. Number one, make sure your expectations are worthy and that they are recognizable when you achieve them. Number two, start working on moving towards those expectations that may have gotten out of focus with your actions, the things that you put into your mind, the study, the business decisions that you make sure they start becoming more in line line with those expectations, and you will start to see your reality come into line. What you say, where you go, the people you have relationship, and the words that you speak out of your mouth will control your reality. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Cody. Other people commenting on the show today. Good word, good words. I appreciate it. I'm just here to help, and I hope that this has helped you today. This has been Patrick Lee with Midweek Motivation Live. At the end of every show, you know, we always have a tip. Today, your bonus tip is live your best life now without holding on to baggage from the past. If you need to clean out your storage building, either in your garage, your storage unit, or your brain, start working on that today. Recognize that some people that are no longer in your life were not meant to come and stay. Let's let them go with praise. And remember, courage begins at the end of your comfort zone. So let's go out there and get uncomfortable today. Act in courage. Appreciate all of y'all. Love you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.